the mention of North Dakota State. By the way, which 6 years were you in? Were you in Fargo, Brendan?
2016 through 2021.
Wow. So they're already like a 5-time national champion. And this is a time when SDSU is already kind of, getting closer, narrowing the gap, figuring it out. So what was that like for you? Just dealing with constant NDSU media, fans, by that point already probably very full of themselves.
Yeah. It was interesting. It really wasn't like terrible or anything, but there was a lot of ribbing back and forth all the time, whether you're at church or you're at work or whatever. And, there was a fair amount of people like that I worked with that weren't even really NDSU fans, but they'd give me a hard time about it anyways when that week came around, which is kind of the nature of rivalries anyways, right? A good one anyways. But overall it was a lot of fun. I had a lot of friends up there. I mean, you can't walk around and hate everybody, because of the sports rivalry. You live there for 6 years. We're all
Dakotans.
Right. But you can get mad every time you see a cement truck with an ugly logo on it.
Right.
I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but whenever I travel across the country and mention I'm from South Dakota, most people don't know the difference between North and South Dakota.
No.
If you say Sioux Falls, half of them are going to think you're in North Dakota. So it's a much smaller world up here, but that's partly what has made that and awesome football, the Jackrabbit and Bison rivalry, so great. So it's a natural way for me to transition into, how do you guys feel about not having that game, at least temporarily? What does that do, not just for that 1 week, that one day, that one game, but for a whole season, for a whole way of living your football life?
So we've got other teams on our schedule this year that I'd rather talk about.
I'm going to miss it. I'm going to miss the Marker game. I'm not going to miss them overall. I'm fine with them going, but I'm going to miss the Marker
revenue.
Game.
I mean, that's a big thing that isn't talked about so much, but that game brought a lot of revenue every other year.
Revenue, excitement, attention, hype, always the most consumed week of this show and probably Sioux Falls Live or other outlets' articles. Because to me, that's the number one thing about college sports is these rivalries. So, but it sounds like, at least with Matt, whatever, life goes on, or what?
Yeah, I think that's where I'm at. There's nothing we can do about it.
Can't change it.
Play the teams that are on our schedule. But yes, I am going to miss Dakota Marker week. So,
okay. I'll go right to it. Does it feel like USD all of a sudden is the replacement for that, or the de facto replacement? Because it's take a drink, Nebraska, Oklahoma, Colorado, growing up.
I mean, there are only rival left. Maybe not the one we want, but it's what we got. Who are we going to have otherwise? You and I. Maybe UND at some point, but they're not there. Southern Illinois has got a salty program always. I'd probably prefer to choose them, but they've already got the War of the Wheel, which is its own awesome rivalry that you should check out. That's just my opinion.
I think it would be very hard for it to be the same. Everybody would I'd get asked, what's the difference between the game with USD and then the game with NDSU? Well, you heard it from Matt. It was Marker week. That wasn't just a game. That was a week, right? And then the USD game's a game. And this isn't. I'm not talking down on the rivalry with USD, but the reality is the majority of people who were around for the D2 rivalry and what that meant. I'm approaching 40, and I never saw a lick of it. And I was at the tail end of SDSU's, transition to Division I. So it doesn't have that pizzazz that it used to. And people would ask me, what's the difference between playing NDSU and the rivalry and playing USD? And the difference was, when you played NDSU, you wanted to win that game more than anything in the world. When you played USD, you didn't want to lose that game. because of just the historic of that program. You look back over the last, for their Division I era until recently, when now they've made 3 quarterfinals, they're really starting to cook. You just didn't want to lose the USD because, it was a rivalry game, but if you lost that game to a team that didn't make the playoffs, that's really going to hurt your season, sort of deal. So I think that's kind of the difference. And for it to get back to that level, I mean, it's hard to match every year being a top 10 matchup every year. And that game determining, NDSU fans would give us a hard time about, why do you care so much about NDSU? Well, because if we don't beat you, we're on the road in the playoffs, and it has been proven over and over and over and over. It is incredibly difficult to win a semifinal on the road. So it wasn't just about that game. It was everything to get to a national title. You'd have to win that regular season game to get home field in the semifinals, to get to the national title. And guess what? 2016, they start winning. And then all of a sudden you're winning the regular season and you get that string of wins in that stretch. And now you're getting home semifinal games. You're making it to the national title game. You're winning national titles. So that's why that was so important. Whereas USD, it's a state pride thing, and it just doesn't have the same pizzazz that carries. It doesn't have the swagger of a top 10 matchup every year yet. It can get there, certainly. But as of right now, that's where I was sitting between two of them.
It's interesting because, and I know Chad wants to speak on this, but it's 3-3 the last 6 years between USD and SDSU.
Yep.
USD has reached the quarterfinals, and therefore at the end of the season, they have finished in the top 10 each of the last 3 seasons. So it seems like that's a good recipe for a great de facto new rivalry. But again, you're being an authentic fan. That's how you truly feel. I'll let Chad bounce in.
I mean, there's things about it that are great. I mean, they're fellow South Dakotans. We got guys like Chad Berger that we can talk to, and Raz, and he's an USD fan, kind of. He's, we know he's a USF fan. I'm not saying he's not a USD fan.
Well, he played football. He played football at USF.
He's a number one.
He's a USD teacher
USF guy. Cordell. Well, yeah.
Right.
I'm not
Cordell
Taco
Jax.
John's
He's a Taco
fan.
John's fan. Okay.
Hard to believe the bigger guy doesn't eat more Taco John's, but yeah. So there's good things. There's been bad things. That happens everywhere with rivalries. It's gonna grow. I mean, there's really no option there. Them being good is great for the subdivision. Like podcasts, like anything else, a rising tide lifts all ships. It's good for everybody for them to be good. Would I like to see them be bad? I mean, part of me, right? Like, I'm a fan. I don't like seeing my rivals do well.
Right.
You know what? You asked about that other team up north. I'm not going to name them, but I hope they do well. They're like an ex-girlfriend that I don't care about a whole lot anymore, because why would I?
Well, do you not care, or are you just trying not to care? Does it take effort not to care? Not to check on Facebook, see how her life is going?
I don't look at all,
night on the
John.
CBS Sports
I'm
Network
like
or the
that.
CW when they're
I
playing.
have friends from up there. I'm going to hear about it whether I want to or not. We share a group of friends, so to speak. So you're going to hear about it. I don't have to look at that at all.
Okay.
I've heard about it enough at Media Day. Anyway.
I don't know if you're talking about us. We limited that.
I have opinions. Anyway, so
one question apiece. That was it.
Yeah. Anyway,
I
think they're going to do well in the FBS and in their league, right? I mean, if we're going to talk about them, let's talk about them. I think their biggest challenges are going to be Wyoming and New Mexico, probably. Outside of that, I think they could 50-50 the top third of the league this year. I don't know, but USD, their fan base is growing, and that's good. That's gonna be what it takes to make it more interesting, I think.
Brendan, Matt, are you guys going to be watching, looking, checking?
I mean, we'll hear about it. Like, I still follow Dom. I love Dom. Izzo's been helpful in this journey too. I want to shout him out. So, I'll see the information. He's been on a couple times with us and just provided insight on NDSU, and just when I'd see him, just kind of general feedback, so that was good. Dom's a great guy. So I'm going to keep following him. So I'll just keep up with the NDSU news that way.
Yeah.
And we're all Packers fans, so we get some through, what's his name, Ross Uglum, too.
Right? Ross, too. Yep. Bison Report. Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. For me, I guess I'm not going to be like checking the scores. I'm not going to watch any of the games. That's just where I'm at with it. It's best for SDSU that they do well. I think that's kind of inarguable. If they do well, if they come out and they're garbage, well, then that's not going to look good on anybody in the FCS or anything else. So overall, I think it's best if they do well. I'm probably not going to be watching games because I watch all FCS right now. That's what I do. I'll keep an eye on probably their record. I'm going to hear about it, like all of us. I have even more NDSU friends than these guys from living up there, so I'm going to hear about it. But other than that, best of luck to them. Everybody knew they wanted to do this for years and years and years, and SDSU has not been. The fan base is not at that point yet. I think at this point you're maybe probably 50-50, 60-40 wanting to go at all, and I don't think anybody's really amped up enough to start screaming about it. It's going to be what it's going to be, and I think a lot of that has to do with faith in your athletic director. Yes. And I think a lot of people forget this is a presidential decision. This isn't your athletic director doesn't just say we're going. Like, that has to be approved by the presidents. These are presidents making these decisions. Your athletic director makes sure that you've got everything set up and are ready. And I find it funny when some people comment, well, we don't know this about SDSU, when they admit that they didn't know that about NDSU either on some of these things. And Justin Sell consistently gives pretty much the same answer that Matt Larson always gave of, we're going to be ready for if the right opportunity arises, we'll be ready to take that opportunity. So I think some of the conversation about it's a little silly, and that's such a deep and nuanced thing when you really get into it. I think I wrote a blog for JI probably 3-4 years ago now, where I broke down the money, I broke down the travel, just not a pro, not a against, just to break down the facts of it, of what everything would cost, what the movement is. And I got a lot of flack because people thought I was arguing for FBS, but it's a lot more nuanced than, well, you just go here because the money's better. Well, it's not necessarily. When you factor in costs and you factor in, everybody thinks the TV deals are huge for all these G5 conferences. If you look at media rights on like the Knight Newhouse survey, SDSU brings in more through media rights than some of these CUSA teams do, and those CUSA teams are having to play on Tuesdays and Wednesdays and Thursdays to get $150,000-$200,000 a year.
Wow.
And it's not everybody's getting $2 million a year from these media contracts anymore. And I'm getting way off topic.
But I
wanted to bring one thing up. Matt brought up Dom Izzo coming on the show. We've had a lot of phenomenal guests on the show, and I just wanted to give Matt a flowers.
Good.
Matt Berry from ESPN College Game Day during the day of the show that they have. Matt Berry's been on with us. The Villanova play-by-play announcer who I locked up and froze once we started to talk to him because I forgot his name, because it hit me right when we started the countdown that, this isn't just Villanova's football announcer. This guy
is basketball.
Like a couple months ago was announcing the NCAA national championship Villanova basketball game play-by-play. This is no joke. And I kind of locked up. I vapor locked and forgot his name. So, but yeah, it's so that's my meandering wander thought.
It's the beauty. Well, no, I mean, that's where I was going to go next. Do Chad or Matt have anything to add to that? Not the Villanova thing, but the
Villanova thing. In some conferences, it's kind of their finals, FBS and name only, and the G6 is what it is now. I mean, the top tier schools are looking to break away. We all see that is something that's probably going to happen. It's still a good step up, I think, for them. And like I said, I wish them luck. I don't know where that's going to end up in the future. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, I think we all see where that is heading, but it hasn't gone there yet. And we would take that invite if it came down. We'd be dumb not to, right? Like, I mean, I think we all agreed on that.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it just feels like for the moment, hey, there's been 2 national titles. You haven't won the last 2. You'd enjoy another 1 or 2 or 3 before you saw what the great beyond would provide for you. Does that seem fair? That seems like where a lot of the fan base is at.
Yeah, I don't know what
to one day doing FBS, but for now it's fun and you're chasing national titles and
yeah. Yep.
It'd be nice to win a national championship in Nashville where nobody around us ever has. I don't know what they have for green space for our party, but we'll have to figure it out.
Yeah.
I went
there. You go.
I've been to every national title since 2020, and Nashville's pretty great.
Yeah. So that's how we'll land the plane. If we run our hour-long TV show, we'd already be going long. But and look, we'll just consider the next 5 or 10 minutes to end this conversation as an appetizer for all the shows you guys are going to be doing in August and into September when the games begin. But it looks like the Jacks or anybody who's cared to release their own preseason poll, they're the favorites in the MVFC, and they're number 2 or 3, 4th at worst in the country to start the season. A lot of talent and coming back. So what are all of your kind of at the moment? And some of you have been doing a lot of nuanced research, pumping out articles at jackrabbitsillustrated.com on specific position groups. Your feelings on where 2026 is headed with Jacks football. I'll start with the Podfather.
Hey, there we go. All right. I do think, we are that number 2 team in the country. From just what we bring back, the amount of talent, the amount of depth that was created last year because of all the injuries. We don't know. We can say we're excited about the transfers, but we don't know. We don't know until we actually see them out there and actually in MVFC play. We maybe had some fool's gold last year where we thought some of the transfers we brought in were really going to help us out. And by the end of the season, we didn't see them a lot on the field. So we don't know yet with that. But, man, you got to feel good about the wide receivers. You got to feel good about the linebackers. We do need that depth, that defensive line group. I know you had Matt on yesterday, and he thinks it's all there with the defensive line and just getting that 10 deep rotation again. And that would be great. And I do, John, anticipate this year we see maybe some freshmen as well. Just with that new 5-for-5 rule, I think we're actually going to see some more freshmen just playing just because they can and being in the rotation. So we'll see.
Brendan?
I think the potential of this team is through the roof, potential wise. If the O-line plays up to what their talent is, you have a couple of these young running backs develop into a good running back with their understanding of the offense and everything. The potential's through the roof. The trouble is you've got a Montana State team that rightfully so is being compared to potentially a 2023 SDSU because of how much they've brought back from that title team that was very talented. But as far as the SDSU roster, I think if you didn't have the season prior and you just looked at this roster and the talent and everything that's on it, the hype behind this team would be astronomical. But the reality is you were 9-5 last year. You didn't make the semifinals for the first time in 6 seasons. I don't know if it's better than 3 quarterfinals in a row, but I think that's okay. And then
I'm sure you guys get tired of that one.
Well, if that's what you want to put on a banner and hang, go ahead.
But I think this team has the potential to be extremely good, but the Valley is really good this year. Really good with the amount of the star quarterbacks that are coming back and the amount of retention there was in the Valley of good players. It's going to be a really, really fun season.
Mm-hmm. Chad?
Well, I'll give you the coach answer. I like the guys we got. I mean, you are at media day too. That is all sunshine and rainbows. And how can you really say anything else?
Always is. That's what I love and hate about media days.
Yeah, right. I mean, everybody gives the exact same answer, more or less. Our guys are the best guys. We have better culture. It's awesome. I think that we do have a lot of great culture in our division and in our conference specifically. But I mean, we look at last year, and it was a rough year, marred by injury and tragedy and all the things that went into that. And it's hard not to look at that, look at what we're bringing in, what we're bringing back, and not be excited, because we were close to making that run to the semifinals again last year with an injured team, with, players that we didn't expect to be starting. So, it's nowhere but up. But then again, we got our butts handed to us by the Grizz last year, and that's something they're going to probably have to avenge at some point if we want to win in Nashville.
Yeah, fair enough. Are you, how full steam ahead are you guys on the Chase Mason train as far as his last go with what he's got, his potential, his NFL quasi hype, all that?
Unlock the guy.
The one thing, we've talked about this in our chat, just with Jack Henry's development and then the other quarterback, Holst, that they brought in. I really hope they let Chase be Chase this year and run the ball. Last year, there was such an emphasis on keeping him healthy and upright, and he still got hurt, that it felt like we didn't unlock that superpower with his legs ever, and he still got hurt. And so I just think with Jack Henry, with Holst being there, there's a little more confidence in what we have in the backup quarterback situation, that, again, I hope we utilize him to his full capacity.
Anybody else?
I think you can call me the conductor of that hype train. I think the full season with the full offense being properly put in without having to try to recruit 60 new guys at the same time and coaches coaching other coaches on what to coach, a full proper off season, and for Chase to settle into the system, know where he's going to go. I think that's really going to speed up his reads. There was a lot of sacks last year where he just held on to the ball too long, and the O-line gets dogged for it, but you got to get rid of it. And so I think the confidence in the scheme and the understanding is really going to pick him up. And I think he's going to be challenging for the Peyton Award if he stays healthy.
Man, I am just upset with myself, because I used to have a hat that I could put on here, but if I'm on that train, everybody knows I'm driving it.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
We'll leave it at that, I guess. I think this is it. Anybody else have to pee really bad like I do? Okay.
Yes.
3 hands goes up. Matt, you're a magic man. This has been 66 minutes, and I've had a full cup of coffee, glass of wine, half a bottle of water, but I can't let you guys go without asking. Same thing I asked the Howling Podcast guys last week about being fans of an FCS team, a mid-major Division I team in the other sports, particularly basketball, in the NIL portal era, where in some cases, not Chase Mason, not Quentin Christensen, but say Oscar Clough. If you have a player who has a great year, he's going to be get 6- and 7-figure offers, and a lot of your best players just aren't going to stick around once they have one awesome year. How much does that bother you? Make you less intense or in love with college athletics? I've been on the record that says it sucks. It's not as good as when, kids stuck around at the same school. Most of them did all the time for 4 years, and you got to know them and teams developed and blah, blah, blah. But they're wearing your laundry. You went there. You're fans. As long as the teams are good, you'll cheer for whoever is in that uniform. You're not as mad about it as you might think you are. But I want to hear from people who are actually deep-seated fans.
Sure. So football, when Jimmy did leave and took, all those players with him, we were angry. Like, everyone was angry about that. Just because it hurt, right? It was like one of your family members taking away, whatever. Because Jimmy was family.
Kidnapped.
Yeah. And I think basketball wise, like it we've just gotten used to it. It's definitely not as much fun, right? Because you're not going to have that Nate Walters or Mike Dom that you grow up, you grow with and you see develop over the course of 4 or 5 years. And then that's just not going to happen anymore. And so that does kind of stink. I think for my basketball fandom, I've just adopted the mindset, we're cheering for the team, the jersey at that point, much less the individual. And when you do get that individual that stays super loyal, a Matt Mims from a few years ago. Matt Mims is a Jackrabbit fan favorite. He was never the best player, but he's playing ball in Australia right now. And the amount of Jackrabbit fans that interact with his stuff on Instagram is so cool to see. People love him still and keeping up with his journey over there. And so I think those players that do stick around are going to be the ones that Jackrabbit fans love.
Around the horn we go.
I think for me personally, I'm good for you. If that's what you get, a huge offer and take it. I'm not going to judge anybody for that. Absolutely do it. It's so frequent and it happens so often. If you aren't a special case like a Mark Gronowski who was here and got graduated with 2 degrees and you spent that full time in essentially grad transfer, I'm going to follow that guy and cheer for that guy. You're a Jackrabbit and you essentially did a grad transfer. That's fine. If you're a guy who, you played 1 year and you left, I'm not mad at you at all for leaving. But I'm not going to try to follow 10 different teams because a guy was here for a year and then got paid. So that's kind of where I stand with it. I think the thing that gets lost sometimes, like in the national conversation about this, where fans get browbeat of, well, you take the money and you should be happy and all this other stuff, is we're forgetting that we're talking about college athletics being a business and your consumers are the ones that are getting upset, and you've got to keep them in mind. And your consumers are the fans, and there has to be some consideration. They got to find a balance somehow. That's way above that's so complicated when it gets into that stuff that I can't give a good right, wrong, otherwise opinion, but you've got to find a balance somehow. Just continuing to tell fans that, no, this is the way it is. You're going to like it and you need to like it. You're a bad person if you don't like it. You're not necessarily wrong, but those are the people. There's all these people that are following are the reason these guys get paid $8 million, $6 million, $10 million, whatever they're getting paid on these NIL deals and all that stuff. And you don't want to kill that off. So I think that's something that has been forgotten a lot in this conversation, and they need to start to remember it when it comes to that. Otherwise, eventually you do kill the golden goose.
Yeah, and you took the wind out of my sails. I was going to say, when it comes to basketball specifically, that the NCAA and the big schools, primarily the P5, whatever you want to call them now, have went out of their way to try and eat that golden goose, with expanding the tournament and all this. The tournament's not going to be fun if there's no Cinderellas. If it's all Big Ten, SEC, ACC teams, people are going to care less. I mean, sure, those fan bases will care just as much, right? They don't care. But I mean, that's what made it fun, is having a 16 beat a 1, right? Like, that was crazy. That's what you watch March Madness for. I'm more of a wrestling guy. We've seen it in wrestling a bit, even at SDSU to a lesser degree in wrestling, because there's just not so many spots available. But it's kind of ruined my fandom for basketball at the level that it once was, because it's hard to follow a team like they were saying with Mike Dom and Nate Walters, or Megan Vogel, whatever, be it on the women's side. If those people are transferring every year, I couldn't even name half of our team this year, because I know a couple, 2-3 guys that were there. There were some guys that left for other reasons, cool, whatever. But yeah, it makes it difficult to follow and really get energized about.
Okay. Well, and yet still, boy, a lot of people are going to those games, watching your podcast.
For sure. Yep.
And it is, I mean, all the athletes, all the coaches always talk about how just a unique, special thing SDSU and Brookings has going on. And it's not, as someone who's supposed to be objective about this, that's very apparent and noticeable. And, but you guys over the last few years, as everything has grown, the crowds, the fan base, the seriousness at which people now follow this and consume it. Hey, you guys have been a big part of the whole thing along the way. So now we can get into football season, get into all the position groups, react to games, and especially those who love recruiting.
Yes.
JackrabbitIllustrated.com is there. The A team on Sunday, the B team on Tuesdays, late night with Borg, Zach Borg. It's happening again, right? This year, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
10:30, 11 o'clock on Saturdays?
Usually 11 o'clock, sometimes to be decided. You got to check on our Twitter once in a while if one of us is traveling.
And
There's
Scared
one
Money
that gets pushed to Sunday.
Okay. And Scared Money don't make money. That's Thursdays, right?
Around
Wednesdays.
there.
Yeah.
Around
Wednesdays.
later in the week.
Yep.
Get close to game time. Matt Tollefson, Chad Myros, Brendan Ludke. Thanks, guys. I'll leave everything that we left out to your show. This was a blast. I appreciate you guys finding a time to do this.
Yeah, thanks for having us, John. This is awesome.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yep, the Jackrabbit Illustrated guys. You're probably already following them, but if you don't, you should. At Jackrabbit_ILLSTRTD on Twitter. And for video producer Cordell Wright, I'm John. Happy hour, and cheers. Cheers, guys.
You need anything else, John?
No, I think I'm good, Greg. I think I'm going to tap out.
All right. Have a good night.